friends, I hope you are coming on in to another one of our Razy webinars. And let me say, welcome. It's great that you could join us today. If I haven't met you, where have you been? I'm on YouTube and some other things within Raisley. But my name's James. I head up enablement and education at Raisley, and it is a joy to be doing another webinar for you guys, particularly around this important time of year as you guys are prepping for probably the largest campaign that you'll be releasing out this year. We've got a whole bunch of things we're going to be diving into today, but a little bit of housekeeping first. If you can, if you're sort of new into sort of Zoom webinars, we would love for you to use the chat function just to say g'day. So if you can just go over to the chat function in Zoom right now, tell us who you are, where you're from. We'd really love to know. And these are sort of coming in. We have Georgie and Helga on the line, who are just the best support for our team in doing these webinars. And I'm really thankful that they can answer some of your questions today and to help out too. So we're seeing a whole bunch of people coming on through, see some great friends that have been to many of these webinars. I hope you're not tired of them by now or seeing my face, but I really hope you get some good insights out of today as well. Now, also, we do have a Q&A function that you can look at within the webinar today. If you have questions during our time, any question, we would love for you to use the Q&A feature. Try not to put it in the chat, kind of gets lost. So stick it in the Q&A section, and either myself or our team will answer those questions throughout the webinar. And if there's anything sort of post-webinar related, you can always reach out and ask us there as well. So do use that. Now, within our webinars, really what we're trying to do is give you great content, because within Raisley, you're in the driver's seat. So I really hope that today, as we explore end of financial year giving, and typically sort of broadly appeals in general, not just end of financial year, because I know those in our sort of New Zealand counterpart have different times of the year you'll do those, but more appeals in general, and about how you can maximize your donation campaigns, particularly appeals in going out. And I really hope it will be a great benefit for you as well. So let's dive into a few little different things. As we duck off, again, for those who just joined the webinar, my name is James. I head up enablement and education at Raisley, and it's a real joy to be a bit of a fundraising specialist and also a digital specialist to help you grow your organization's digital footprint. Now, we always acknowledge and respect the traditional owners of the land in which we work and live and play upon. And I also want to pay my respects to the Awabakal people, pay respects to elders past, present, and future. It is a joy to be able to work on the land that I do and to live on the land that I do. And so we just want to make sure that we are great stewards of the land in which we work, rest, and play on. A little bit about Raisley. This may be your first time joining one of the Raisley webinars. And if that's the case, a really warm welcome. It's great that you can join us. We hope you get heaps out of it. But a little bit about Raisley. Raisley really is there to support all the fundraising portfolios that is in your organization to ensure that they create incredible digital experiences that maximize donor engagement and fundraiser engagement. So whether you're managing your appeals or your peer-to-peer or your events or your regular donations or all sorts of different other portfolios that you have, Raisley is there to support you with the best-in-class digital experience for your donors and fundraisers. Make sure you dive in, grab a free account. Raisley is free, which is insane, and have a play around. We're really looking forward to seeing how that can support you too. We also invest a lot in the R&D in Raisley to make sure that it's not just a platform, but a leading platform. And we really feel like the work on our donation form, our flows, our templates, particularly the new ones being released, are there to show best-in-class practice with digital fundraising today. And Raisley is also a B Corp. We are very purpose-driven. We want to make sure that we're not just working to earn more or grow more. We're working to see great impact in our world for people and planet. And so we really enjoy that you share that vision with us and we with you. That's a little bit about Raisley. What we're going to be covering today. I'm going to be going through a few things, but as I said, we're looking at maximizing your appeal campaigns, and particularly in the state of what we're looking at. end of financial year, which is like super close. So there might be some of you that are like, we'll take some little nuggets away from this. There may be some of you that have already sort of dived so deep into your campaign so far that you don't really want to think about them anymore. But here are some things that we're going to be covering. The first is we're going to crunch some data looking at last year's end of financial year, primary to see two core trends and a couple of other little notes. We also want to look then at three things we know are effective, then three things we think will be effective. And these are things that if you have time, we'd love you to test and try out. And lastly, we look at how Raise can help you with your appeal as well. Now, before we dive on into the first little section of looking at data, one of the big curiosities Raise has is around your rhythms. When are the times of year that you are actually planning your campaigns, building your campaigns, reviewing your campaigns? The more we know about your rhythms, the better we can provide you content and timely content that's going to help you in those times. So there's a great poll that Georgie is going to activate now. And so on that poll, we'd just love to know, when do you start thinking about your end of financial year appeals or your appeals in general? So if you can dive over, look at that poll, that will be coming up. And if you can do that, that would be great. Sophia, thanks for raising your hand. If you can put that in a question or in the comment section, that would be fantastic. All right, so there should be a poll going up. I think Georgie's going to give me the okay on that. I think we'll push forward, but thank you so much for sharing your insights into the rhythms that you have. If for some reason the poll didn't work, lean into us. Tell us in support, what are the rhythms? When are you starting to think about your campaigns? Because we can provide you great content around that. I'm actually seeing the poll at the moment. Many of you are thinking January, February, March is kind of the goal. April, definitely not May, definitely not June. This is great, right? So it's helpful for us to looking at content of what you're looking for as well. Thank you so much for sharing for the Christmas appeal. We'll do some great stuff around that as well. Thank you for those, and we'll make sure we action those into some timely content that comes around you as well. All right, I'm going to dive on out of the poll. And why don't we dive into step one, looking at some of the data from last year. All right, first of all, what we need to see is the main takeaway from 2024 end of financial year is that the trends are consistent over the past 3 years. So that means you have a solid foundation to work from. We know the bar for successful campaigns, and we know what that is, which is kind of one of the great parts about Raisley, is that we're not sort of guessing at the moment what the bar is on engaging in end of financial year campaigns. We kind of know what that bar is. And what has been really helpful is seeing that consistency over the last 3 years around what are the actual trends. Now, some specific things that we are looking at in regards to the 2024 end of financial year appeals is that it's still the peak time for Australian charities in May and June. Overwhelmingly, it is the peak time for fundraising. It's very, very different if you look at the, say, New Zealand counterparts, where it really ebbs and flows throughout the year, though there are some sort of rhythms for it. But within Australia, it's very much that peak time is your May and June appeals, which means it really, at the core of it, should be your biggest investment at the moment. Next of all, we also know that donation amounts increase exponentially over the life of a end of financial year appeal. Now, typically, as I sort of said, we don't need to talk so much about end of financial year appeal. Much of this can apply to general appeals. But what we see is that the closer we see to the end of June, the donation amounts given have a huge increase. They actually increase exponentially off this up to June. And so that's going to be really important when you're looking at how to actually modify your donation ask amounts as well, which is really, really cool. Other interesting trend is that emails are typically the primary source of referrals that's coming into your site, which means that your investment in a really good email marketing strategy is still going to be one of the main investments you should be making. Emails are at the core of it, really is targeting your existing base. And that's kind of interesting because what we are still finding is that existing donors do give more, and they're normally a higher percentage of the donors that you will get in through an appeal campaign. So ensuring that you're investing in exceptionally good emails, because that is the primary referral driver that's coming through for your end of financial bank for your campaigns, is just really, really needed. The other interesting one that we kind of have seen is that TikTok is also very much growing in that space. One of the largest appeal campaigns that was run last year, which raised well over sort of $4 million. TikTok outperformed them on a social media platform 2 to 1. So we saw, I think it was 115% increase over Facebook use was actually the referral coming from TikTok. So emails are, yes, the greatest investment you can be making, but TikTok engagement, why not try that? Facebook engagement is still strong. Instagram, not at all. But email marketing, the primary channel of Facebook, but TikTok, what is your content strategy for that as well? Would be worth exploring. And lastly, as well, existing donors do give more. And this is going to be really important as we look at how you can improve your campaigns moving forward to make sure you're offering your existing donors something different. And really pushing them to sort of say, hey, you know us, you love us, you respect what the work that we're doing in partnership with you. What does it look like for you to generously give back at this time of year? So there's a lot of growth to be made in regards to that. So some of the things that we are seeing here, as my point earlier was saying, is yes, this is how Oz looked last year. Huge peak time in the sort of May up to end of June period as well. So you can't deny the data. This is consistent over 3 years for the average campaign total per campaign week by week. Other one is this is what is happening with your donation amounts. As you sort of hit May, they slowly grow and grow and grow and peak. All right. So making sure you have an ability to be flexible and dynamic with your dollar amounts is going to be really, really significant. Now, there's a whole bunch of sort of more data that we will mine into. And we have a webinar coming up next month, which is going to be great to look at into diving a little bit deeper into Raisley's data. So I don't want to spoil everything for you at the moment, but I hope one of the things you can be seeing is just some general principles that the consistent nature of the last 3 years with our data shows some pretty timely foundation stuff we're talking about. So what we're going to do is now go into our next little session to look at a few things that we do know that you can start utilizing. So I'm just going to check in here. Gray Helga's all over the Q&A. Thank you, Maggie. Are you seeing the TikTok donations coming through from links to your Raise page, or are they being made through TikTok? It's a great question. One of the things that would be great in our fundraising benchmarks is diving a little deeper into what is the social media trends. So one, I'll answer the question for you offline and maybe put it in the follow-up emails. But do look out for the fundraising benchmarks as well. That would be great. All right, let's dive on in and have a look at 3 things that we know as soon as I can get my screen working. All right, 3 things that we know when it comes to appeal campaigns and particularly end of financial year. First one, donation amounts need to dynamically change during a campaign. Now, this may be new to you. This may be something that you have known for a long time. But one of the things within Raisley is that we do not see many campaigns actually acknowledge this truly. If you look at the stats within Christmas and end of financial year campaigns, and the growth trajectory is exponential based on the dollar amounts given, what it means is that we are critiquing the old classic traditional dollar handles. Remember dollar handles, you probably may still use them, but $50 gets you a goat and $80 gets you 3 pigs, or whatever the dollar handles are. Your dollar handles at the core of it, we always knew are there to enable some sort of tangibility when it came to impact. But the interesting things is with a dollar handle, you will never change them. Typically, most people don't change their dollar handles. They kind of set and forget. But within the data, we see that the donation amount increases, but often the donation forms are not dynamically working to support that. And our big recommendation is that dollar amounts need to dynamically change during a campaign, at least weekly in the peak times. Um, and some of the things that you'll be basing this around would be the concepts of sort of high, medium, or low donors. Where's your mark in regards to that when you're taking it out? Whether or not you're advertising on email, Facebook, TikTok, or paid advertising, so you are going, all right, we're spinning our reports to understand how we're getting a lot of traction on email, not so much on paid social, so we can adjust the amounts that is coming in there. And the other one we'll be looking at new versus existing donors. So these sort of three areas of some dynamic flexibility with your donation form can really aid you in really asking not just the right amount, but the kind of stretch amount, which is going to help your donors engage more as well. Now, some of the things that we can take away from this is first understand how you can track your donation amounts. One of the cool things is in a very soon release, Raise is going to be launching dashboards, which will give you an ability to see much of your data firsthand very, very quickly within Raisely, not having to utilize other tools like Google Analytics or your CRM. So first of all, understand how you're going to track your donation amounts over a campaign. That's the first thing. And you should be thinking about that now because you're going to need to actually use that. The second one is to rethink how you can present impact tangibility to your donors rather than using dollar handles. We do understand that people want to give to real things, and you communicating that the donation toward you is going to something real and impactful. But the concept of putting those dollar handles into the donation form kind of may need to be reassessed. And so rethinking how we can present these as well. And then lastly, use the latest donation form. No more duplicating. Now, Helga's probably going to laugh at me for mentioning this one because she hears me talk about it all the time. Most people, what they're doing with their end of financial year campaign, because they put so much work into it last year, they're going into Raisely, duplicating their campaign, and away they go. There's one sort of fundamental flaw with this, is that you may not be getting the full Raisely updates that we've been doing over the last year. And particularly there's one really important one, and that is making sure that you're updated into version 3 of the donation form. If your campaign is going out with the old V2 one, you are not going to see you're not going to see your donations convert as well as they could. So the very first thing would be an encouragement is update to version 3 of your donation form. But almost a better practice is actually not to duplicate your old one. Instead, just create a new campaign and pull the stuff over into that. I know it's more work. There are some wonderful shortcuts that would love to help you with and grow you with around that. And so yeah, like one of my encouragements is don't just duplicate because you may miss out on some really cool features. Even one of the things that you'll miss out on if you're not using the new templates yet, you should, is we did a whole bunch of really nice styling on the donation form fields. So they're not looking so boxy and very 1990, but instead they're looking a lot more up to date. So there's some really good things if you can use new templates to work from as well. So that's kind of the first thing that we kind of know. Let's go to the next one. Next one is you're working toward a conversion rate of 10 to 15%. That is your goal. What I'm not saying is that many got there. Very few get to this conversion rate as well. Yes, we'll give you some examples on dollar handles in just a moment. But one of the things we do know is that you're working toward a conversion rate of 10 to 15%. One of the great things with the new dashboards, or if you do bring this stuff into your CRM and report on it, you can look at your conversion rate, and typically they're sitting between 8% and 5% for most. What we're trying to help people do is move toward the 10 to 15% conversion rate. I'm just sort of saying is that there's room to grow. So the top 3 end of financial year campaigns last year, with over 20,000 donors, saw between 8.5 and 10% conversion rate. And there were still things on those campaigns which we would encourage them to update and change to enable a better user experience. So really what I want to push to is aim for 10% as your bar on conversion rate. And that is from when they land on your page to when they've successfully donated. There is a large drop off when they come in, but if you can aim for 10%, leaving that as your benchmark would be really great. And utilizing every tool that Razy has to make sure you're offering a terrific user experience is going to be key on that. So here's some things that we'd recommend. First of all, A/B testing is essential in successful campaigns. This may be daunting, but what we're trying to do, and we'll sort of show in a little bit, is spend less time building your campaign, more time experimenting with your campaign. A/B testing using like a tool like VWO.com is a great way to start working out, are your assumptions correct? Learning these new tools of A/B testing, using, as I said, VWO is probably my favorite one, can be a great opportunity for you just to look at what are some things that we can be optimizing. Most likely you already do this in your social media. But what does it look like to do this on your landing pages that are built in Razely? Creating different experiences and working out which ones are converting better, and then walking down that trail as well. Second, ensure your stories are seamlessly connecting between platforms. This is one of the things we'll show you in a little bit as well. But when we look at story connection, we're talking about if you have a story on Facebook that you've gone with an image and an impact story, make sure people are hitting the landing page with that same story or even an extension of that story rather than something different. If I hit something very different, they're likely sort of you're taking them off onto a different trajectory, and it may be harder for conversion to happen. But working toward what is the story that's on Facebook? How does that, and when someone clicks on that, how does that link into my donation form experience and donation page experience so that they're feeling like it's a continuation of their action of clicking from you from that. So really good to ensure your stories are seamlessly connecting between platforms. And my last point, as I said before, use the latest donation form. No more duplicating. Duplication's good sometimes, totally, and I get that. But my encouragement would be is use the latest donation form and don't duplicate. So there's a couple of things that we've sort of looked at there. I can go back. So what we've looked at so far is donation amounts need to dynamically change. You're working towards a conversion rate of 10 to 15%. And lastly, emails are still your best referral channel. So making sure you design great emails is going to be really significant. The question you ask yourself is, would you open and click your own emails? One of the things that we see often a lot with emails is still a lot of copy coming through into an email in which people today are not reading. They're just not. They are looking typically to sort of have an action based on their web experience. Informative, it has really taken the backseat. It's really conversion action that they want to be taking. So do your emails support action, or are they supporting too much information overload? One of the also important things in supporting action is making sure emotion is in your emails. Ensuring that your banner, when someone opens someone opens your email, the first thing they're seeing is your impact, what you're actually doing as an organization, conveyed in an image. Or if you want to embed an image in there that has a little play button so it can link out to a video, even better. But making sure you're putting emotion and story into your emails is really important, minimizing content and making it really clear for them to have a call to action. One of the things I love in emails is give people choice in emails. You may have one primary call to action, but then you might have some choices underneath that. That's a really good principle in email marketing as well. But a really great resource that I'd encourage you to go to is reallygoodemails.com. The reason I encourage this is that most people that we see putting out campaigns is that they frame most of their emails through the worlds of non-for-profits or charities, and they'll copy from different ones that they've sort of seen in that space. One of my encouragements is look to the e-commerce space, look to the retail space. These are going to show you what's best-in-class practice for conversion. And so really good emails is a plethora of terrific emails that are real emails that got sent out by some major brands. So really good source for a bit of inspo around that as well. So some of the things just to be looking at this is appeals harness. Here's some interesting stuff, right? The first would be, let me just change my video back so you can see these on the screen. Therefore, appeals harness the fruit of peer-to-peer campaigns. That seems a little bit tangential, but it's not. What we're saying here is peer-to-peer campaigns are one of your best methods of growing your email base. The reason for it is that you're now reaching out to new networks that you cannot reach before because now these networks are reached out via your advocates. So a peer-to-peer campaign really is someone else taking your message out to their own networks. You can't connect with that network, but they can. And when they donate to that person fundraising, that's a new person that you've added to your email database. And that gives you a new option, that gives you multiple options through the year to target appeals. So this is why peer-to-peer campaigns, I feel, to be honest, are really, really, really important because they act as a great feeder to build your email base. There is no shortcuts with charity marketing or marketing generally. You can spend a lot of money and get little fruit on social, but your email base is still the strongest. How are you building your emails and using peer-to-peers to do those? Lastly, throughout the year, test what is an effective email and be inspired by the retail e-commerce acts, which would be cool. And the second little encouragement is in a appeal, ask twice. There are totally opportunities where you can be asking a donor more than once for a donation. And my encouragement is to do that. People like being communicated with, making sure they're not just a number, even as to say thanks and hey, would you encourage someone else to donate? That regular communication via email is going to be really important and ask them twice. You'd be surprised how many people do give twice during an appeal, particularly if you utilize match giving as well. Now, I'm just going to pause for a sec. I feel like I've just talked and talked and talked, and I'm really thankful that these go up on YouTube. But please stick around because we've got some really cool things to show you as well. But some of the things here, do you have any data on what percent of peer-to-peer recruited donors donate again to non-peer-to-peer appeals? Whew, that would be a wonderful piece of data. It's a little bit hard to pick it in Raisley, and we're getting better with our data crunch. And so I'm really looking forward to inviting you to the fundraising benchmarks webinar where we see those. But one of my investments is you should be knowing that data on your base. One of the things in Raisley, we can look at thousands of different campaigns. But you're going to look at what your one is, what your user base is. Raise dashboards is going to be a good little insight to give you some of this information, which will be really, really helpful. But big time investing in a good CRM is going to provide you those insights that you're going to be needing to work out where are those campaign crossovers for those donors coming in. So please invest in a really good CRM because that's what's going to be able to crunch some of those data needs for you as well. All right, so there's some questions. I think we've answered a few of them. We can kind of push on, and we do have some show and tell stuff, right? Which I'm really excited to dive in, and I will show you things in this next session. But just to review, they're the things we know. Donation amounts are dynamic. Emails are going to be your good, top, big investment. Make sure they're phenomenal. And secondly, I think I've forgotten my last point, which was work to a conversion rate of 10%. That's what your bar is. I reckon you can do it with some good UX. Pushing to 10% conversion rate is what we want to see people sort of aim towards as well. All right, so now I'm going to present a few little interesting things. This is one of the best parts of sort of working within Raisley. We see thousands of campaigns every year. We see some that do extraordinary for little work. We see some that have a lot of team and effort behind them. So the variance is great. And from those variants, we come up with some of our own assumptions on what works within digital fundraising as well. But I don't want to pitch them as these are things that we know, because the reality is all things need to be tested. And that's probably the main thing we want to encourage people to do, invest their time in testing. But they're things that we've got a decent hunch on. And so let me present a few of them and we'll take you through what these look like. Let me just share my screen. All right. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if everyone's doing okay as well. It's nice to just know in the chat that people are still with us and are still working through. Give us a thumbs up in the chat. That would be brilliant. All right. Thank you, Catherine, Sarah, Julia. You're the best. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. All right. So let's go through 3 things we think will be effective. First, simplified donation pages convert better. Here's my question. What are your donors reading before and after their donation page experience? What we kind of mean from this one is we see people put a lot of different content into their donation pages, which takes some time and energy and a lot of copywriting, a lot of image sourcing. Let me show you an example of a different type of campaign. Let me just go over in 2 secs. This is where the show and tell gets a bit more fun. All right. This is a donation campaign that was built in Raisley, which is probably one of my favorites. All it is, it's a single row. This is just one row. That's all there is. One side is an emotive image. The other column, we've got a donation call to action. And we've already in the thing preempted a thank you to someone to say thank you already for donating because you've already made a choice. The reason these are effective is not because they're simple or clean or whatever. They're effective because what they're relying on is an assumption that someone has already digested content. If they've already digested content from your email, whether or not be that short or long, or your socials, whether it be short or long, or a video you've uploaded to TikTok, short or long, they've already got information. So one of the things we're looking at is how then does the actual page simply get them to take the next step and doesn't ask them to take different directions or different steps around this. There are different templates you can play with in Raisley, which is great, right? And so this is kind of one more out of the boxy sort of donation campaign that we see. There's a lot more text that people are working on, big time. And for the first time person who's literally just gone to your website, wondering what to donate to, these can be somewhat helpful and effective. And just to note, these are the new templates with Raisley, which is nice and clean and neat. So we encourage you to use them. And there's some good things sort of going on here. But one of my challenges is, could your page just be this? That's it. What's really cool about these types of pages is they're highly customizable. Is that because this is all one row in Raisley, you can create multiple rows in Raisley that all have different images, maybe some slightly different copy if you needed copy. And you can activate those based on the URL. Now I'm going to get totally techie and maybe throw a few of you, and that's okay. One of the things that I want to encourage you to look at is using the URL and putting in query strings that change the experience that someone gets. So let me give you the first example. Right now, I am just on the page as it is normally. But if I do a question mark in the URL, which introduces a query, and do AMT equals hi, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at the donation amounts. Bingo, right? The donation amounts now changed to 100, 150, 220. All that was this little snippet of CSS that's available for you to paste into any of your campaigns. It's making sure that you're creating numerous different donation amounts in your donation form settings, giving each of those amounts just a little tag to like high or medium or low or whatever you want to do. And then all we have to do in the query string is add this little question mark amount equals high, or we can type in, say, medium. Donation amounts change. Now, this is what we talk about in regards to dynamically changing your donation amounts. One of the things is this is really simple to do. So it means that when the link that you put onto Facebook has a query, amount equals high, or referral equals email, or whatever that little tag you want to be putting in there. And because you've got that data in the URL, you can now change every single element of your page. So we can be changing the image that appears here to correlate with your social media tile as well. And the other sort of side is you can changing the dollar amounts to make sure you're targeting the right person as well. All right. So great question, Rosalind. We're thinking of just using Stripe as the payment platform. Yes, Stripe should utterly be your primary payment platform. But another interesting one would be maybe activate PayPal as well. Give people options, maybe. But anyway, back to sort of this. My question is, can you simplify your donation pages right down? Because it's going to give you a lot more time in looking at this. So some of the things, don't forget mobile when designing and building. Have a really good mobile clean experience. Focus the use on imagery and simple text to highlight the cause and impact. And use your time for setting up testing and experiments. Don't use your time to create really, really big, complicated pages. Use your time to make simple pages and have extra time to do experiments, A/B testing, putting different queries in there and trying a few little different things out. A really big encouragement on that. All right, next thing. We think a regular donor ask should be both during your campaign and following your campaign. The reason for this is that still many people do not regularly support a charity. And there is huge studies around at the moment where it's saying that the younger generations are moving away from regular donations. I still would challenge that. I think yes, there is a part of that. Yes, I think there's a big call that they want to see impact in their campaigns. But if you can articulate impact, the impact that comes through being a regular donor, I still feel that on that is a good opportunity to engage the younger generation. But regular donor asks through your in a campaign should never just be at the end of it. If someone donates to you, take them out with an ask during your campaign. Definitely go out with an ask at the end of your campaign. All right. But a donor ask should be both during your campaign and following your campaign. And one of the things I'd really, really encourage you to use, which is a really good little leverage tool, is utilize your donation summary receipts for this. If you've got existing donors who are giving to you, using the opportunity to send them your donation summary receipt, which just gives them, here's what you gave this year, is an exceptional opportunity for you in Raisley to ask them to be a regular donor. My encouragement for this as well would be to set up a regular donor campaign in Raisley. Have that as something separate so that when someone is a regular donor or you want to invite them to be a regular donor, have a separate campaign in Raisley that supports that. That really is based around the language around that. Not just a donation form that says choose monthly, but a simple page that says, thank you for thinking about being a regular donor. You can create as many campaigns as you like in Raisley. And my encouragement is make a separate regular donation campaign. One of the cool things you can do in Raisley is that you can move donations across different campaigns. So if someone does adopt regular giving through one of your campaigns that isn't your regular donation campaign, that's fine. You can just move that over to your regular giving campaign and they get all that experience, comes with messages, all that kind of stuff. Other thing I'd encourage you to do is articulate the impact of a regular donor in a way that is different than one-off donors. Your regular givers, your investment there should be a very different offering, not the same offering, just a little bit better. It should be a different offering. What are you inviting them into? Both you're inviting them into a community, that's very different, rather than just a one-off donor. Promise them, ask them, what are you going to be giving? How many times would you like us to connect with you this year? Our assumption is we'll connect with you 4 times this year. So connect more, increase your proximity with them and tell them that that's what you're going to do. But drive them to see what the impact of their funds is going to achieve as well. That's different than a one-off donation. And lastly, use the donation summary receipt. I'll give you one other little tip that I didn't actually get time to put into this, but hopefully it's helpful for you. One of my big encouragements is, and it sort of ties into the regular donor concept, is when you are looking at what fields you capture when someone donates, you're going to have first name, last name, email address. That's your basics. You're most likely going to have a marketing opt-in as well in there. The other one that I'd really, really, really encourage you to do is what is called proximity to cause. You basically ask people a question. Is such and such a cause part of your story? Yes or no? Do you have a loved one affected by this? Yes or no? What you're trying to look at is when someone came and donated to you, what was their proximity to the work that you do? Is it really firsthand and real for them, or are they just wanting just to do it, just do something good for really any charity? You understanding your proximity to cause can be based on a simple question that is asked on every campaign that you run. That is, how close are you to this work? We would love to know, because if you've got a newcomer comes to your work and go, this is part of your story, you want it to be inviting them to be a regular giver relatively quick. So big encouragement, regular donations, put those in your campaigns multiple times as an ask, but also the proximity cause one. I'm a huge fan of, so I'd love to see more people do that because I think the data from it will be really, 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 really good. All right, next one. Match giving met. I wrote meet. There's always a spelling mistake when I do copy, so forgive me for this one. Match giving met with strategic timings provides important influence. Now, what are we talking about in regards to influence there? What match giving does is it draws people in as a separate offering. You're basically saying, hey, there's something new in our campaign. If you've got a campaign that runs for over 2 months, having something new in your campaign is very, very helpful. But it's more than something new. What match giving does, it gives people an ability to influence their decision on what they'll give at that time because they feel like they are on a moving train. So having strategic timings that provide for your match giving periods, rather than lumping them all together or stacking them all at the end on the campaign or putting all of them on one single giving day, think through what are strategic timings that you can be looking at. The question around that is, who are your partners who will pledge? That's probably where you're going to be starting. So working closely with your partnerships team to work out who can pledge stuff. But thinking through strategic timings is going to be really helpful. Some of the things we're encouraging this is run multiple short-term match periods over May and June. Look at your data, but typically there are some, as we looked in the graph, it's exponential. It slowly grows. And so having some particular timings to really activate and move that growth higher can be really good through multiple short-term match giving periods. Create a different landing page experiences and activate them when ready. This is one of the features that my incredible colleague Helga talks about all the time. And people rarely do this because it's the biggest time saver in Raisely. Can I quickly show you? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if this is of interest, because I think you're going to love it. Yep, heaps. Love it. Okay, let me show you a cool little trick in Raisely. What a lot of people do, let me open up Raisely, that might be helpful. Great. Okay, so here's our appeal campaign as it stands. If you look at, there's this little ellipsis up the top of each of your pages. So if I say create a new page, and I'm going to call this email version 2 or whatever it is, right? So you can just, doesn't matter what you call it, probably the path is going to be important. And I'm just going to clone it from my home page. And I've created my page. Within this page, I can update anything and everything on it to make it be the same as the home page, but unique to the offering I'm going out with. So particularly for like match giving periods, you're going to have some different copy. You're going to have some different emphasis that happens on your page. But one of the things you can really, that you can do is on this little ellipsis, you can hit make homepage. This is such a simple thing that I think a few of you do know, but there are so many you don't know. So all it does, if I go, great, make homepage, confirm, it's now made this one the homepage. And so no one now has access to the previous page they had. So some of the best campaigns we've seen going around are the ones that create multiple versions of these ones for different timings of your campaign. So one would be, say for match giving, you got match giving period 1 and release. Great, activate this page. You might have 10 other pages that you activate over the time of your campaign. And you simply just need to set them up. Once they're set up, just hit the three ellipses, hit make homepage. That's it. It's such a big time saver. And because most appeals don't have more than one landing page, and to be honest, they shouldn't, they should be one landing page. This can be a really great little shortcut to creating multiple varied experiences based on the strategic timings that you're putting different things out. So please use that one. That would be great. There was a question when James says during a campaign, do you mean sending a recurring ask during as one of the asks? Yeah, I reckon big time. I think one of the things is when we say during a campaign, end of financial year campaigns or appeals typically go for 2 months. That's typically average. If you look at the stats for the end of financial year appeal, nothing really gets off the ground until the 1st of May. So you've got time. But the 1st of May, it then starts ramping up. I'm saying create different landing page experiences for the different moments that you've planned throughout those 8 weeks. And just quickly automating and shifting them based on timings. Can you automate the page shift, say, based on timing? Kind of. It's a little bit technical. So that's a great question. Can you automate some of this kind of stuff? I'm a little bit old school. Automation's good. I like being in the driver's seat. If you're in the driver's seat, it's going to work every time. If you learn automations, I think it particularly a campaign that's so important. I feel like I'd want to be more on top of it. So yes, you could automate it. It's slightly complicated just because we work on the website development. But it's pretty simple to do it my way that I've just shown. And I'd say take control on that. I think it's a little bit better as well. So yes, I'll answer a couple of questions in a moment. So hopefully that's a cool little feature that you guys maybe haven't explored yet. We saw some exceptional campaigns last year do this and do very, very, very well out of it because they offered the donor unique experiences based around the timings of their campaign. So really, really helpful. And couple each match with a new story. One of the things that we can do with our match givings is they can sort of feel samey. Change your story. Associate every one of your partners with a particular impact story for that campaign. And so you're not just going out with a match giving ask, we can double. You're going out with a story that's based around that ask, which is far deeper and richer. So a big encouragement there as well. I can show you conversion rates in a moment of what it looks like on dashboards. So, but we'll get there in a sec. Okay, I think I've done. Oh my gosh, I've actually gone through the 3 things that I was going to go through. So first off, simplify donation pages will convert better. If you want to know how to do this, I'm going to show you how to do this exact page on Raisley School, and that will be up this week. So look out for that. Next one, regular donor asks should be both during your campaign and following your campaign. Big encouragement there. And lastly, match giving should meet strategic timings that provides influence. So really encouragement there as well. We make sure the slide deck gets to you guys as well, so you can sort of have something to share with your team too. But I do want to open up for questions, and there are a few here, which is great. So thank you so much for just getting through this content with me. I really, really appreciate it because at times it can feel like a big rush. That's why we record it, but I think it is helpful. All right, some Q&As. What do you mean associate each partner with an impact story for match giving? Yeah, great question, Olivia. What I mean is that you have lots of stories around within your charity. I'm saying that when you go out with an appeal, typically you are slicing up your different stories. That might be ones that have impacted people or pets or sort of humanitarian crisis or whatever it is. So you typically slice up your story for your social media. That's what most people will do. What I'm saying is reserve some of those stories or couple some of those stories with your partners. So if you've got a high influential partner that who's going to pledge you a certain amount, say $100,000, work with them, understand what they're passionate about your work, and present that story from your work in association with that match partner. So when someone lands on the page and it says Joe Bloggs is matching 1-to-1 up to $100,000, because they believe in this part of our impact. That's a really good take on, and it can be varied based on your different partners. So hopefully that helps, Olivia. Any data on frequency of emails during end of financial year campaigns? Yeah, I can give you like we did a massive deep dive on kind of the five largest appeals last year, and typically the push out was between 9 and 12 emails is going out over this period. So that is roughly a bit of a ballpark of sort of a bit more than one a week that's going out. But also look at your small moments. As I say, with email content, the shorter the better because it gives you opportunity to add more frequency. If they're long, like a big letter from my CEO, I'm not going to read it. I'm a little bit brutal. Some people do read them, so they're not superfluous, but they're not the most readable ones. Um, but if I'm going out with shorter content, I can up my frequency, and that's going to help because you are communicating more. But more the concept is communicate post donation ask. There's different types of emails you want to be sending. You want to be sending, hey, check out our campaign, sure, but you want to be sending emails of match giving is now available. You want to be sending emails saying, hey, have you considered being a regular donor? And that comes to a donor who's already given. So there's all sorts of varied emails that you can be sending, but typically on the general advertising ones, it was about between 9 and 12 that we'll put out there, there as well. Another one is question is there a cost to asking people to becoming regular donors during end of financial year when the focus is on larger donations and not smaller, more regular donations? Really true. And that's the thing that your organization needs to look at. You can only have one ask at the core of it. And so you got to work out, is it the right ask for them? Regular donors still are lasting 7 to 8 years. And so it's a long-term fruit over short-term impact. So that's one of the questions that you're going to be needing to just refer to internally. Because yes, there's totally a cost to it. But I think working at your rhythms through the year and assessing from your data what's coming through is going to be really helpful. Is it better to highlight different stories or one sole story in an end of financial year campaign? One story broken into digestible bits is what I'd encourage you to do. But that's what I think. I see a lot of them. I think the concept I just want to push is that what are you sharing on social or in your email? And how is your donation page reflecting that? So the decisions you're making there in your advertising need to come into your platform. In most cases, every organization will be different. Some organizations will be able to share numerous stories of different types for different audiences, and that's fine. So if they know that the younger generation connect more with babies than the older generation, there might be a story more about babies than a story about older people. But that's based on what you're sort of going out through in your marketing. So it can sort of vary, but I'm a big fan of one story broken into tangible bits. If that story is big enough for it, would be my encouragement. Here we go. Can you please show us how to set up different asks set on the form, for example, of high, medium, or low? What does that look like in the back end of Raisley, please? Yeah, that's a great question. I'll do that in just a moment. I was going to answer the other question. Advice on whether to exclude those who have donated during from later emails. I think the concept is that if you, I wouldn't exclude those who donated during the on later emails. I would make them different. 100%, because you can make them different. Segmentation is all about that. You know who's already donated, so you can make updates around your emails and what goes to be sending out. Shorter emails means it's going to take you less time to make more emails. So my encouragement is, yeah, totally email them, but different email. Doesn't have to be the same one. And let me quickly show you, and I will give a demo on how to actually to do the where are we? This little section here, right? So what we're looking at is in the query string, we can change amount to high and it goes on through. This is called dynamic changes via the query string. Instead of giving you a demo on this, because it's a little bit, it'll take probably at least 15 minutes, I'm going to record a video. It'll be on Raisley's school and YouTube for you. So you can go through that. And it's all available for you to do some testing around as well. All right, last question, and then I think I'm just going to wrap it up and share with you guys some interesting things and developments that are coming with Raisley before we leave as well. Last two questions. To clarify the above question is about excluding from donation asks emails. Yeah, sorry, thank you for that. Helps. I'm on the mentality that people do give twice in an appeal. So don't be shy asking people twice. Sometimes people give early on, and then when the campaign's got momentum, is that they'll give again. So just be mindful of that. That's all that you're looking at in regards to that too. Um, and is the AI tool you created for the Giving Tuesday campaign last year still available? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Team, I'll chat up with Georgie in marketing and see whether that can be given to you as well. All right, I have 4 more minutes and I'm going to get through some insanely cool features that are coming out in Raisley. So bear with me. What's coming in 2025? Year ahead. First, Raisley's dashboards. Now, this is a dead set game changer. Let me quickly show you what I mean by game changer. Dashboards. All right. Welcome to Raisley's new dashboards. This is going to be super cool when it's in your hands. What we have here is we've got fundraising, regular giving, peer-to-peer, traffic and performance is the metrics that you can be pulling from in Raisley, which is just going to be super, super helpful and convenient for you when you're wanting to make those small changes to your campaign to better them. You can also filter down each of your campaigns to work out what you're reporting on, also your reporting period, and you can also run comparisons, which is going to be really, really helpful to run those benchmarks of what you're looking for as well. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of data that's going to be carried in here. As you can see, nothing's in here. The reason for that is I'm just in a test account, but all this gets populated with your data. Some insanely cool things that you can be looking at is this is probably my favorite one, where you're looking at conversion funnels. You can filter on device type, also by traffic source. And this is going to be really, really good because you can look at what where are your donation, where are your people coming from, where are they maybe falling over in their donation, and are we hitting that 10% of what we want, and what can we optimize for that as well? And you've also got donor insights too. You can look at your median donation amounts, which is going to be really good. Looking at new to recurring donors and make adjustments. So Raisley Dashboards is going to be an insanely cool tool to be in your hands. I wish it could be in your hands tomorrow. It just can't. It takes a lot of engineering to produce this, but we'll make sure that you're first cab on the rank to look at the beta version when it's released this year. Other cool things within Raisley is new templates. We're about to launch the new peer-to-peer template. This is long and awaited. I've wanted this for a long time, but do note there are some already new templates. If you are creating a campaign in Raisley, please promise me you do this. First is go create campaign, and always pick flash appeal. The interesting things with campaigns is and template selection, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. You can change all of them, but this is probably my favorite one to use. Or this one here. This one gives you peer-to-peer ability. This one doesn't. So just know this. But these two new templates are brilliant to be using, and I'd really, really encourage you to invest in there as well. So please dive on in that. That would be great. Now, some of the other things, just to quickly go through, is we also have Keeler integration has been released. As you may be aware, Keeler is one of our sister companies, and it produces an incredible CRM that if you are looking for a good, clean, neat CRM solution for you, Keeler, I'd say, should be at the top of your list to look into. So Raisley has a native integration now with Keeler, which means all your transaction data can actually flow through. And over time, that integration is only going to get stronger by applying all your peer-to-peer and fundraising data as well. And so if you're looking for a CRM solution, I can really recommend Keeler. It's an absolute winner. Some of the things is Raisley School. I'm not sure if you checked this out. There's 2 courses there now, way more coming. As I said, I'll put some of the content from today on there, but go to school.raisley.com and there you can learn how to page build. There you can learn a little bit about Raisley, and there's more courses coming out as well. I literally released the Page Builder one the week before last. So if you want to learn all the things that I've learned over like 300 campaigns, do the page builder one. I really encourage you. You'll learn some really great tips. School.raisley.com. And lastly, if you are needing help with your end of financial year campaign, or if you are just looking for some advice around what you did last year and how you can better it, one of the things I would encourage you to do is reach out to our professional services built by Raisley. If you just go to raisley.com/built by Raisley with a hyphen in between each, you'll see that we can actually help build you your campaign that you want. And that can be a great time saver for those that may not have the people resources to do this. We want to see you launch insanely good campaigns and that can be a really good resource for you to be using if you need some professional services on a really pretty shoestring budget too, which is great. We've had a bunch of questions, but I reckon that's about it. Friends, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us at Raisley, looking at end of financial year campaigns. We're really hoping for great stuff. We hope you experiment, play around, and the best part with Raisley is we're here to help. You are in the driver's seat, but we're pretty good instructors. So if you do need help, do reach out to support.raisley.com or do check out our professional services at Built by Raisley. Until next webinar, thanks guys, and we'll connect soon. Catch ya. Thanks, George.